those of you who are here should be proud of yourselves. You're in the top 5% of all doctors and practitioners in the world. Just by being here, you're in the top 5%. So I want to just give you a round of applause for being brave enough to come to a marketing conference talking about money. Now, before we get going today, I'd like everybody to just walk with me through a visualization. So if everybody would just put everything down, put your phones down, pens down. Put your hands out on the desk, relax, take a few deep breaths in, and close your eyes. Now what we're going to do is we're going to walk through the perfect day. So what I want you to start with in your mind as you're thinking about what your perfect day might look like is think about what happens. What's the first thing in the morning when you wake up? How do you wake up? Is that with an alarm clock? Is that the smell of an infused essential oil? Is that hearing the breath of your spouse? What does that look like to you? Think about that. Think about how that wake up occurs. And once you're up, think about what it is that you want to do most in the world. What is it that you want to start your day doing every day? If you had to pick the most perfect day, what is it that you would start your day doing? Would it be with your kids? Would it be with your dog? Would it be taking a walk? There's no wrong answers here. And as you go through your morning, what does your food look like? What does your breakfast look like? And if it's a weekday and it's a clinic day, what does that perfect day in your office look like from the first patient to the last? Is it easy? Is it hard? Do you have patients you love that are coming in to see you that you're excited about? Do you have people who you're fighting against because they're not on board with functional medicine? What does that look like for you? But this is your perfect day, so whatever you want it to be, I want you to imagine it. And then as the afternoon rolls by and the evening gets here, what is it that you want to spend your evenings doing? Reading a book, getting educated, walking your pet, laughing with your children, being with your spouse. What does that look like? And as the day rolls to an end, how do you want that bedtime scenario to look? Whatever's right for you is right. Now what I want you to do, you've got that perfect day, you've got that vision in your mind. Let it just soak in. Let it sear into your brain. And let yourself know that every day could be that perfect day and that you have control over that component. And now open your eyes and look at me. Okay, so now you all have envisioned in your mind a perfect day. And we're going to talk a lot about perfect this weekend, the perfect practice. The practice you want, the business that you want, not necessarily the business that you currently have. Probably you wouldn't be here if you had exactly what you wanted. So we're going to talk a lot as we go through this weekend about what that perfect practice is going to look like, what that dream practice, what your dream practice is going to look like. So, we're going to talk about money this weekend. How many of you are scared to talk about money? How many of you are scared to raise your hand? We're going to talk a lot about money this weekend, and being in the healthcare profession, many people fear talking about money. It's almost like a taboo. You feel like if you talk about money that it somehow means you're a bad doctor or a bad healthcare practitioner, that you don't care about your patient. But I'm going to say just the opposite of that. If you don't talk about money, it means you're a poor business owner. It means you're not positioning yourself for success, which means you're not positioning yourself to bring the best to all the people in the world who need your healthcare services. So talking about money isn't selfish. It's actually selfless in the sense that if you talk about it and you master it and you master the ability to earn it, that means one, that you're helping more people in the world, and two, that you've actually thought about it enough to get over yourself. Money is not an evil. It's not a necessary evil in the world. Money is a tool, just like any tool. Any tool that we use can be used for good or bad, and money is much the same way. So I don't want you to walk away from this weekend thinking, money is bad. I want you to walk away thinking, how can I make more? Because if I'm making more, that means I'm serving more people. That means I'm helping more people. That means I'm bringing functional medicine to more people. Where are we at right now? Currently, we're in the best place that we could be. And I've been saying this for the last 2 years. We're at a place with functional medicine. How many of you remember when gluten-free was new? So if we go back in time, right, 10 years ago or so, any of you who were talking about gluten-free were complete heretics, right? I can remember when I first started talking about it, even my wife thought I was crazy. She was like, are you sure you want to tell people to not eat bread? And it made her very nervous because it was such a radical thought, right? But think about it. Today, what is gluten-free? How many of you tell your patients to go gluten-free? Okay, pretty much everybody in the room. Now let's think about that. 10 years ago when we were saying it, it was heretical. Today, it's mainstream. That's where we're at, right here. Today, functional medicine is heretical. 4 or 5 years from now, it's going to be so mainstream, you're not going to be able to keep the floodgates shut. Everybody and their dog is going to be jumping on the functional medicine bandwagon. What you're going to have is a flood, an onslaught of doctors diving ship from a failed model into a model that consumers are demanding to such a huge degree that you won't know what to do with all the new patients. Now, that being said, that only happens if you take advantage of the opportunity today. Because if you wait 5 years, how many of you weren't talking about gluten 10 years ago, started talking about gluten later on, and it's a lot harder because there's a lot more competition? Everybody's talking about it. When you're not the first, when you're not what's called an early adopter, by the time it becomes common knowledge, public place, if you're not an early adopter, then you're a low-hanging fish competing with all the other fish for the same food. And life is a lot harder. It's a lot harder to scramble. So we have this failed medical model. We have a lot of frustrated patients. And we have functional medicine and the interlapping component here where we fit. Everybody in the room fits here. How many of you have been practicing functional medicine a while? Okay, good. So how many of you have been practicing it really successfully for a while? How many of you wish you could have more success, and that's why you're here this weekend? Hopefully every hand in the room is going up. So by the time we're done with this weekend, one of two things is going to happen. And of those two things, you're either going to walk away with actionable tools and skills that you can apply. You're going to take more home from this conference than any conference you've ever attended. I can guarantee that. I can promise that. We deliver. We will be delivering to you this weekend. You'll fill up your notebook and more. And you'll have so much that you can actionably implement on Monday morning. So you'll walk away doing one of two things. You'll have this knowledge, but you're going to either walk away from this conference and apply it, or you're going to walk away from this conference and you're going to keep going the way you've been going, and you're going to keep struggling, and you're going to keep being frustrated. So Monday morning, you're going to walk away with skill sets, with ideas, and with concepts that can double your revenue this year. And I mean this year. I mean, we're already in February. We're almost in March. You'll still be able to double your revenue in the year. You'll have made new connections that will turn into new opportunities. Make sure tomorrow morning we're doing a speaker mingle where you can get to hang out with some of the speakers. Every speaker here is ultra successful. Every speaker here has kind of forged themselves and gone through the trials and tribulations of building practices and businesses. Take advantage of those connections. We bring them here. We bring the best in the world to you here so that you have the ability to speak with people that you wouldn't otherwise have the ability to communicate with and pick their brains. And we will have, at the end of this conference, you will have unleashed a panacea of positive possibilities for your practice. An onslaught of wonderful, wonderful ideas. Now, for those of you who know me, or for those of you who don't, this is just a little bit about me. I've been in practice for 16 years. I started out practicing functional medicine. So I've been doing nothing but functional medicine for 16 years with a few sidetracks from what I call shiny object syndrome. I got sidetracked here and sidetracked there. Anybody ever get sidetracked on side roads that aren't part of the mission? I've been a nationally recognized functional medicine thought leader for at least the last decade. I talk at conferences. I teach doctors around the world about functional medicine, about gluten sensitivity. For those of you who don't have a copy, make sure you get a copy and put it in your library. I'm the author of No Grain, No Pain. We just hit 25,000 books sold in the last year. I'm a successful internet entrepreneur. If you haven't or are not familiar with some of my websites, glutenfreesociety.org, probably the biggest one. We get millions of visitors a year on our websites. And I also coach functional medicine docs on practice success. So we've been featured on PBS, we've been featured in CBS, Reuters, Fox News, amongst many other national media syndicates. So that's a little bit about me. So what I'm bringing to you, I'm not a coach that sits over here coaching people and that's all I do. Everything we're going to be talking about are things that I've tried, things that we've done, things that have worked. They're tried and true in business, and they're going to be very applicable. In essence, what we're teaching this weekend is not theory. What we're teaching this weekend is not half-cocked ideas developed in a closet somewhere that have never been practiced or never been put to the test. So, just like you, I'm a person, I'm a human. I wake up, I put my pants on, one leg at a time. This is my dog Maggie, dressed up for Halloween. This is my family when my son graduated, my middle son graduated from high school. Those of you might meet my wife Kate, she's up front helping out too today, this weekend. This is me and my youngest son in D.C. These are paleo cupcakes. I like to have fun. This is jumping at the trampoline place. This is at the corner over here. Some guy drove up on a pink Harley. It's not my pink Harley. I don't have a pink Harley, but I thought it was really cool. I love to speed. I'm a Texan. I like to shoot guns. That's my radar detector. That's my German Shepherd. This is in California. I went and visited a friend. He was a speaker here a couple of years ago. You might remember him if you were here. His name was Bedros Keuilian. He's an internet millionaire, and he's got 300 franchises of boot camps across the country. And this is a paleo cookie that his wife made for us. This is my wife and I going out and having a good time. This is our trip to Rome a couple of years ago. So I'm showing, this is me and my staff. We went to Cancun earlier this year. I took them all after a long, hard year of work. We took them all and celebrated in Cancun. This is a grain-free donut. My wife makes these. They're delicious. This is a picture I pulled out of the magazine. It said, "Eat the Grainbow." And I thought it was quite the opposite, quite the contraband from what our message is. And then this is me and my family last New Year's Eve celebrating. So why do I show you all those pictures? I want you to know a little bit about who I am. I'm a real person. I'm just like you. I've got a family. I've got people in my life that I care about, that I love. And I like to go on vacation. I like to have a good time. And I like to be able to use money as a tool to bring joy and experience that I would not otherwise be able to have in my life. And I want you to see that because I want you to know, one, that it's possible, and two, that that happiness that you just saw was achieved through money. Now, again, money doesn't buy happiness, but money buys experiences, and experiences bring happiness and wisdom and insight.